Let's move on to the next headline.
Climate activists in Australia staged a floating blockade of shipping traffic using a fleet of kayaks at the country's largest coal port over the weekend, resulting in more than 100 arrests.
호주의 기후활동가들이 지난 주말 자국 최대 석탄 수출항 앞에서 카약을 타고 해상 운송을 막는 시위를 펼쳐 이중 100명 이상이 체포됐습니다. Alright, so this was a huge protest. Tell us about it.
Yes. First of all, we'll get outside of the confusion because I'm going to tell you that 5 miners were arrested. And I'm not talking about coal miners, M-I-N-E-R. I'm talking about minors, M-I-N-O-R.
Underage.
Meaning teenagers or children. A 97-year-old pastor, a reverend, was also arrested. So 100 people in total, obviously very passionate about their cause, but breaking the law.
Yeah.
So what the police did is they said, you can have your protest for 30 hours, but if you don't leave, we're going to arrest you. And after 30 years, some people 30 hours. I'll give myself a 75.3% accuracy on that. Some activists, after the 30 hours, refused to leave. And so therefore, sorry, we gave you the time, but you're over the time, therefore you have to be arrested.
They were given a time limit.
Exactly. Now, this protest goes on every single year. It's been going since 2016. What they want to do is to end new coal projects, and they also want to tax on coal export profits. The issue in Australia is they've been cracking down on climate protests. They've been enacting tougher laws, and some people have criticized that. They're saying people have the right to protest. In this case, the police gave them time, but if you go over the deadline, you're going to get arrested.
자, 지금 30시간 동안은 시위를 할 수 있는 그런 퍼미션이 주어졌었는데요. 그것이 넘어가면은 체포하겠다라고 했는데 실제로 넘었기 때문에 100명 이상이 체포됐습니다. 그중에는 이제 미성년자 5명도 포함이 됐었고 또 97세의 reverend 목사도 포함이 됐었다라고 하는데요. 표현 보겠습니다. They staged a floating blockade.
Yes, a blockade is going to be some kind of barrier or barricade, something that stops things from going in or out. I know that Sue's favourite musical is Les Miserables.
Yes.
And in the second act, at the start, I think, of the second act, there's a big blockade where the protesters in the city of Paris, they sort of get all the chairs and the tables and bits and pieces to stop people from coming through.
Yeah.
So here the blockade was a floating blockade made up of kayaks, canoes, basically. So people were in the water with their own individual vessel blocking the traffic.
blockade, 이 단어 안에 block가 들어있죠? 막다라는 단어가 들어있어서 알 수 있듯이 이제 그런 느낌이 살아있는 단어입니다. 자, 뭐냐면 봉쇄예요.
네. Not as delicious as lemonade or orangeade, though.
그렇죠. 레모네이드 뭐 하는 그런 에이드는 맛있는 음료가 되겠고 그거 아니고요. blockade, 봉쇄. And this resulted in more than 100 arrests.
Yes, if something results in something, that's what happens because of it.
Yes.
That's what happens due to it. It's the conclusion. So here, there was a protest, and the conclusion was 100 arrests were made. That was the result.
Result in A. A라는 결과를 낳다라는 뜻이 되겠죠. Well, here's the headline again. Climate activists in Australia staged a floating blockade of shipping traffic. Using a fleet of kayaks at the country's largest coal port over the weekend, resulting in more than 100 arrests.